A book read on the life, Michael Jordan, the life. Sometimes people like to say they would enjoy switching lifestyles and have that which Michael Jordan had. Of course, lots of money, fame, and doing something that you enjoy doing to a harsh capacity. What I mean by a harsh capacity is Michael Jordan was one of those dudes, one of those guys that went to the fullest extent of domination of his craft because he just loved it and loved to get the best out of it. Because after a while, you say, okay, why embarrass people like he used to do? Why? And comes from just fierce competitive. But anybody that knows me know that Michael Jordan was considered like a stepdad because my dad worked a lot of hours, and so in order to get those male figures in which a lot of young boys and young men start to put together to develop themselves, Michael Jordan was one. Had a very good image back in the 80s and 90s, at least for the public media. Nike did a good job with that, and Mike as well too. And as far as just being that figure that people can look up to, people were happy with him, and he was just wildly successful. And the bottom line was that, like he said, there's no I in team, but he said there's I in win. And so he was a winner, and that's what everybody was really gravitating towards, how this guy could consistently beat you in the 80s points personally, even though he lost games, lost the titles and stuff. But in the 90s, he would beat you in everything else statistically, individual statistically, and team-wise, they would win. So he became a major figure. And he was one of the major figures I grew up, watching and trying to be like. I would watch Come Fly With Me, all the tapes. Anybody in the basketball circle knows what I'm talking about. So now that I'm doing these book reads, I said, man, let me read about the guy. And this is a library edition, but it was, like a lot of books I read, I borrow from the library, and then if they move me that much where I know I'm going to read them again, I go get them. I'll go ahead and purchase them. But this is definitely one that I'd like to revisit. There's lots of parts of this book. I have book notes, but I actually just, because I know this guy so well, at least I think I do, right? At least I know his history a little bit well, that, growing up here in Chicago, I figured that I could just kind of freelance some of the things that I highlighted as I read this book. And this is probably one of the thickest books I've ever read. It's over 600 pages. And I slow read this one. It actually didn't take me 72 hours. It took me a full week because I was emotionally and visually getting into the picture of the book more so than I normally do. But the book was written by Roland Lazenby. He's a lot of these journalists, and reported on the Bulls and reported on Michael a lot. So of course he has a lot of inside scoop. And then you got the chapter breakdown, and this is what it started his early childhood. Actually, before he was born, his grandfather, his pops, and then to him. And one of the things that I always wanted to figure out was Michael Jordan went third in the draft in 1984, and I always wondered, how did somebody that was barely known in high school, barely known in college as that star athlete, how did he come in and just, bust a scene in the NBA? I mean, he literally took the NBA by storm. Very first. This is where a big role in the success of anybody. And this is one thing I learned, is that your timing is crucial. Sometimes things are for you. Sometimes things are not for you. I mean, you've seen guys who are able to physically build the body of Michael, 6'6", physically get the coordination of Michael, and have the benefit of watching all of Michael Jordan's games, tapes, film, and everything. But only one person has been able to really replicate exactly what this guy's done. That's Kobe Bryant. So it shows you that the level of his ability to go of course, he went off of Dr. J, David Thompson, and and other greats before him, but he did take it to a superstar level because of timing.